Raising women's voices, one story at a time. Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. Well, hello, friends, and welcome to another amazingly fun episode of the She Said Project podcast. I am your host, Jeanette Jerzyk, National Director of the She Said Project. Who's with me today?
Carrie Rosso.
As always. Carrie Rosso, you are one of the co-founders of the movement, the She Said Project. What is the She Said Project? Why? What is your why, lady?
You don't need to say it so accusingly. I am the co-founder with Jill Harlan Pierce and Casey Wakefield. It was truly just three women sitting on a patio watching our girls play in the yard and thinking, what can we do to shine a light on stories and show our girls that women are supporting each other and that stories are important and that our lives and all of our stories are important. And the next thing you know, we were standing on a stage.
And it turned into a live show that became almost an annual event in your hometown, in your community of Champaign-Urbana. There have been 5 shows to date. So all these women that you have invited to bare their souls, to take a microphone and share a personal story in front of hundreds of women, I mean, that's a scary, vulnerable experience.
Well, it especially is because the women we ask, we intentionally do not ask slick, polished, professional speakers. The whole point is that it might be the woman who checked you out at the supermarket. It might be your teacher. It might be your pastor. Whoever it is, it's someone that you connect to in your community and you're getting a snapshot into their lives because everything we do, it all boils down to seeking connection. And so if you can connect to and see sort of a peek behind the front of someone's life, you're more connected. You're a lot less likely to be cranky at that checkout lady if you've heard her story and felt connected to her.
It is about connection and about really being proud of the women in your life and learning how to live a little bit more fearlessly, a little bit more boldly. And when it comes to being fearless and bold, can we just have a moment for our guest today who we're going to talk about her story? This woman is known in her community for being proactive, for being involved. She's so involved in everything. She is all about making a difference. Can we introduce Ashley Morgan?
I like to call her Ashmo because I'm fancy.
Well, there's a reason. Ashmo, are you on the line?
Hey.
Ashley, thank you. Welcome. And thank you for joining us on the She Said Project podcast. I know speaking on the radio is nothing new for you, my dear.
I mean, listen, I might have done it for a little while in my life.
Right. And not everyone who's listening today knows that you've actually been a very regular radio host and DJ in the Champaign community. And so you have a celebrity voice. What would you say? Your voice is very well known and respected.
I mean, you could walk somewhere and somebody might be like, oh my God, do I know you? And it's like, oh wait, have you heard me in the morning?
But what you did for us is you lent your voice. See what I did there?
I see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you lent your voice to the She Said Project by sharing your personal story live on stage. So you were part of the 2016 cast in Champaign at the Virginia Theater. And do you remember the story that you shared that night?
I do, because when you guys had talked to me about doing She Said, I said to Carrie, I was like, I don't have a story. I was like, nothing's happened to me yet in my life. I was just another one of those women that did that.
What you learned quickly is that those words are magic to Carrie Rosso's ears. When someone says, I don't have a story.
Such magic, Carrie will find something because something has happened to you, something with, good, bad, ugly, happy, sad. Something has gone on in your life that has made an impact, and you guys helped me see that. So, I spoke about my backstory, which is, I had scoliosis growing up, and I had surgery when I was 14 years old. And so when I spoke at She Said in 2016, I really spoke about how that affected my life, my view of just life in general, my view of body image, and all that growing up as a teenager here in Midwestern Champaign-Urbana.
It was great. And even for people who haven't dealt with that issue, everyone has either been a 14-year-old girl, or if you're a fella, maybe you have a daughter we can all connect to that feeling of, that's a time in your life when you're so self-conscious anyway, and then wearing a brace or going through all that when it's tryout time, because you were a cheerleader, right? That was what your big dream was?
That was it was a huge dream of mine to be a high school cheerleader, also a college cheerleader, because I just thought it was the funnest thing ever. Like, if you know me or if you don't know me, I'm sure you've already been able to tell I've got massive amounts of energy.
You got school spirit, girl.
I do have school spirit, and I wanted to spread it, and so it was my dream to become a cheerleader. And that was always my goal. Well, it was halted a bit when I had the back surgery, and I just wasn't sure I was going to be able to achieve that goal. One, because the surgery involved me getting 2 metal rods in my back, which are still there today, by the way, and you're not able to move like you used to. You know, you have to go through physical therapy. There's a lot that goes into having that. So the surgery really kind of derailed my my career, or so I thought.
Right. And by being bold and brave and sharing this story, this is something that a teen girl wouldn't want to talk about or wouldn't want their friends to know about. And you had to kind of, face your teenage self and share this other side of you. And we know that it had an impact on the audience that heard it that night. And now we want to share your story with even more friends, because we know that there's girls out there who are dealing with the same decision that you had to make. Just knowing that someone else has been through it sometimes makes all the difference. So we're going to listen to your story from That's What She Said live on stage in 2016 in Champaign, Illinois. This is Ashley Morgan with My Backstory.
Is there anything more terrifying than being a preteen girl? Do you all remember middle school? Okay. Right, it's not fun. Leaving the comfort of elementary school and that core group of friends that you grew up with. What's the scariest thing for a preteen? Boys? Acne? Having your parents chaperone your very first middle school dance? Yes, there they are, I see you, yes. How about changing in the locker room for the very first time in front of all those new faces? We wanted more than anything to fit in, to be just like everyone else. Well, I went into those years knowing I was going to be different than everybody else. Now that's scary. I was diagnosed with scoliosis in the 3rd grade. For those of you that don't know, scoliosis is a curvature of your spine. It's something that can be fixed if you listen to your doctor and your parents. Now, I already knew how they were going to fix this problem because both my brother had it, my mom had it when she was growing up. So I knew that it meant years of wearing a back brace and possibly surgery at some point in the future. So my doctor gave me like a little mini replica of the back brace that I would have to start wearing, and so I could take it with me to school for show and tell. It was kind of like my very own after-school special, showing everybody that I would have to wear this thing permanently. And it's not like this thing could be hidden unless I wanted to wear a turtleneck every single day, and that wasn't going to happen. No, turtlenecks when you're a kid, no. The best thing about being in elementary school is growing up with those same kids. They all know who you are. Nobody ever treated me any different. It was almost normal. Well, by the time I entered 6th grade, I was over the back brace, done with it. It just hit me like, I don't want to wear this thing anymore. I don't want people asking me about it, new school and all that. I was done. There's nothing more embarrassing for a young kid than being at the airport and going through the security line, having to remove your back brace and put it on the scanner, have it being x-rayed, and then grabbing it off the scanner and then putting it back on under your clothes. No, wasn't going to happen for me. I didn't like it. So clearly, I dropped that thing like a bad habit. And how is a back brace going to fit into a cheerleading uniform? I mean, I was looking to my future, people, and wearing a back brace did not fit into my lifelong dream of being a cheerleader. I knew that if I didn't keep wearing the back brace, that I would eventually have to have that back surgery. Well, I didn't care. I thought of it as a quick fix, a way to just go back to being a normal kid. Not so much. Being the typical teenager, I didn't listen to my parents, and I stopped wearing my back brace. My back surgery happened when I was 14, my freshman year of high school, and boy, did it suck. I didn't think of the end results of what surgery would have, or like the recovery. I mean, deep down, I knew I was going to have a scar, but it wasn't like at the top of my mind. I mean, I was just thinking about the quick fix, the end results. I mean, I was a teenager. Can you blame me? Recovery was brutal. Days in the hospital, weeks out of school, having a tutor at home, and not being able to do anything for myself. It was awful. But then, of course, to me, the worst part was I had to miss freshman cheerleading tryouts, crushing my pom-pom dreams. I wish I had listened to my parents. Yes, Mom and Dad, you were right. I should have worn it. But seriously, I didn't think about how I would feel physically after the surgery. The first time I saw the scar, I thought it was hideous. I thought it was really ugly. I thought I was ugly. And I thought, if I'm thinking these things about myself, what are others going to think of me when they see it? When it was visible through something I was wearing, then the questions would start. Where'd you get that thing? Or what is that? It was awful. I thought, I'm never going to be able to wear all those cute, fun clothes that all the new high schoolers are going to be wearing, that backless dress at your first dance, or swimsuits on vacation, because I didn't want people asking me about my scar. Well, I currently have 2 titanium rods on each side of my spine, and they are here to stay. And guess what? After my back surgery, part of my recovery was to wear another damn back brace. Now remember, I stopped wearing the first one because I didn't want to go into middle school with a back brace, right? Now I'm in high school and I had to wear another one. Luckily, it was only for 2 months, but it was mandatory for my recovery. But there it was, yet again, taunting me and keeping me from those cheerleading tryouts. I mean, at this point, after my surgery, I thought, how am I ever going to be a cheerleader? Because now, not only do I have this giant scar on my back, I've got 2 metal rods, which means I can't bend over. Okay, I have perfect posture, yes, but I can't bend, I can't tumble. And we all know that cheerleaders are the ones doing the backflips and everything, right? I knew I couldn't do it. Not only that, what I thought cheerleaders were these beautiful girls who were always on point, looking cute, and here I am with this giant thing on my back. Like, it didn't fit into my vision of what I thought a cheerleader was. Well, being the determined teenager that I was, desperate to be a cheerleader, I did anything I could think of to become one, and that determination finally paid off. About a year later, I had proven to the cheerleading squad and the cheerleading coach that I could high kick and do a cheer routine right along with the rest of them, and no one had more pep in their step than me. My dream finally became reality, scars and all. So we got what we thought was going to be this terrible diagnosis when I was in 3rd grade. And while it literally put me on my back, I wasn't going to let it keep me down for too long. You are currently looking at the recipient of the 2005 Central High School Spirit Award, and my spirit hasn't stopped since.
So, Ashley, how does it feel to hear your story one more time now as, the audience?
It seems like so long ago. I mean, I feel like I get, I practiced that on stage. Well, obviously, you guys saw it so many times, at Carrie's house with you guys. And I think just to hear it all over again, I get a different piece of it every single time. I never really had told my parents how having the back surgery affected me and my own issues about how I viewed body image. And I think that was one thing that my parents, especially my dad, had told me after the fact when he saw the show, because I wouldn't let them hear my speech before I gave it. I wanted them to be just as surprised and kind of love it as I was doing it, and just kind of hearing their feedback on, I didn't know that's how you felt. We just had no idea. And not that it's a negative thing. It's just, going through this as a teenager, you don't always talk to your parents about what's going on. So this was my way of letting them know that, like, how it did affect me and kind of how it made me feel, which was bad about myself. I thought I was ugly and was never going to be able to show my body. I had this ugly scar on my back, which I thought defined me. And I know that not everyone's going to have a giant scar on their back, but I know that everybody has some issue about their body that they don't like. And my advice is, if you can, try to love it, because, now so many years later after I had that back surgery, you guys see me all the time, right? I love a backless shirt. I love a backless jumpsuit. I'm all about showing it off because it is a part of me and it has made me the strong woman that I am today. And if I had never had that surgery or never gone through any of that, I don't know where I would be today. It really did kind of define who I am in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Rather than deny it or hide it, you've embraced it and made it part of you.
I really tried to.
And listening to your story helped me understand what you went through and connect. Around the same time, my niece was also making that decision, and she underwent the surgery and has the rods in her back, and she had to learn to love herself, scars and all. And listening to you and hearing your story actually empowered me to be there for her in a new way. And so that's the power of connection and of sharing the stories. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy that you all did ask me to do it, that we were able to figure out something, because, you asked what story do I have, and of course, my back surgery, it was never anything I would have thought about or that anybody would want to hear about. But after hearing people, come up to me afterwards and said, I had no idea. And, even from re-listening to that just now and hearing it over again, my goal of becoming a cheerleader really did happen. It took me a little bit longer than the normal person, but I was able to do it. Like, I did not let having this surgery stop me or define me or stop me from reaching my goals. And I did get to do it. And because of that, I continue my school spirit every single day in my job.
I was just going to say, you are, even though you aren't a high school or college cheerleader anymore, you are your community's biggest cheerleader.
Oh, thank you. I really try to. I try to see the positive in everything, and just I can just keep saying it. You can't let these things define you. You really have to take it and try to use it to empower yourself, because you're only going to feel bad for yourself about it, and that's much easier said than done. And mind you, it took me a long time to get used to the new body of mine with the rods and everything I had to go through. Wearing a back brace and people making fun of you, and you kind of develop a bit of a thicker skin. I'm still a little sensitive to things, but I think when it comes to that, I'm a lot better off for it, because it kind of toughened me up a little bit.
But you are a role model. You are an example that something that significant took you a little longer, like you said, but it did not stop you. And I think that's an important message for young girls today, that, things are going to happen and there's going to be bumps along the way and there's going to be crazy diagnoses and, that boy is not going to like you and whatever. But, you can be anything. You can do anything. It is okay.
You really can, and it's so cliche to say that, but I really think, looking back at myself now, I wish I could tell my 14-year-old self, it's going to be okay. You don't have to, it's quite all right if you don't have the perfect little body, or if you've got a scar, own it. That's something that's great. That makes you different. You don't want to be the same as everybody else. It's fun to be different. It's great to be different.
I love that.
I would just... Well, it is. I know I'm loud. It's great to be different.
Well, I want to quote Meryl Streep for a second. She specifically says, find the thing that makes you weird, find your weirdest quality and own it. That's what makes you you and special. And, she's an advocate for women overcoming, insecurity as well. And so I think you really shine, Ashley. You shined on the stage that night, and you shine in your community. We want to thank you for joining us here on the She Said Project podcast to share your energy and your light and your effervescent spirit. Go team. Can we get a rah-rah?
Rah-rah.
And we're so grateful for this opportunity to share the stories from the She Said stage with even more women, because it's all about women supporting women. So thank you for joining us at the She Said Project podcast. I'm your host, Jeanette Jerzik. Carrie Rosso, thanks again for being an inspiration to women everywhere. And thank you to our friends for joining us.
Thank you, Ashmo.
Ashley Morgan.
Thanks, guys. You guys were amazing. I love you, women.
Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast in partnership with Illinois Public Media. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project and That's What She Said, LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com. This podcast was presented by Sterling Wealth Management, empowering women to live their best lives. Learn more at sterlingwealthmanagement.com.